Hi everyone. Okay, so last time you were watching, you were working on making your value scale. We talked about using a dark amount of pressure to make your dark values, or a lot of pressure to, to make dark values, and less pressure to use light values. And then we were working on making this um, value scale that was more of a smooth finish. And these things are going to play a role in when we add value to things that are round. So you're going to notice value shifts more subtly. And I want to talk to you guys about that. I'm just using an ornament from my Christmas tree, and I'm going to show you how to draw and add value to this. I just have a piece of tape here so it doesn't roll away, and I put the hook on the side so you don't have to worry about drawing that. Okay, so here's what you're gonna do. You can either find something round in your house to draw yourself, or you can use this video and draw along with me, and use what we see here as our source. So we're sort of going to be drawing from observation. That means that we're going to use our eyes to see what we're drawing, and we're going to do our best to draw those details. So we're not going to draw what we think, instead we're going to draw what we see. Okay. So I'm going to put my value scale aside. I'll bring that back out when I'm ready. The first thing that I want you to notice is the light source. You can see this from my window here. There's a big old white glare on the ornament, and then it's casting a shadow. Okay. One thing I want you to notice about the shadow and about the value that we see on the sphere, right? Where is the highlight on the sphere? Is it all the way on the side? Where is there space between the highlight and the edge of the ball that you can see where it gets darker subtly? So, and then another thing I want you to observe is the darkest value that we see on our sphere right next to the shadow, or does it get lighter before it reaches the shadow? Yeah, kind of maybe not what you would expect, but we know that our eyes aren't lying to us, so that is what we're observing directly from observation. Okay, so now is the job of drawing, and then we'll add our value. So the first thing I want you to do is just draw a circle. Don't worry about if it's completely the same size. Don't worry if it's completely round. It really doesn't matter too much. You just want a circle. And then once you have a circle drawn, try and map out where your shadow is right from the beginning. So I'm going to try and make like a rough shape for where my shadow might be, in proportion to the ball shape there. Great. And you can kind of get the right angle that that shadow is casting in. It's almost like, I don't know, like a rainbow shape, like a tall rainbow coming out there. And then notice that there's even some parts of the shadow that look lighter than the rest of the shadow. We can include those too. Great. Okay, so I have some basic lines drawn. I might try to map out where my highlight is. But again, we don't want like hard lines. We want to be blending, right? So I'm going to do this really subtly, and then my goal is to have everything be blending together. Even the edge of my sphere, I don't want to be a hard edge. I want it to be blending. So I'm going to start with my darkest value, it kind of like bowls across. And when it does that, it definitely goes in this sort of shape. right? You see how it's kind of arching? It's not a straight line. And to get that, I can use my pencil to just be blending in a curve already. So it's kind of wrapping around to sort of blend in some of that value. And then maybe when I get to the other side, it's going to start to wrap around the other direction. Yeah. If this way of blending with your pencil is too challenging, you can always go back to blending this direction. And then just work on building your value so that the darkest part is where we observed. And then as you shift across the surface, you're using a little bit less pressure as you get closer to the highlight there. So this whole time I'm trying to use equal pressure and just gradually getting less pressure with my pencil to get to that light value. Trying to maintain that circular shape. And then blending that in. Great. And again, you can use your eraser to help you if need be. I'm going to go back in and work on some of these darker values more. I don't think they're as dark as I need them yet. And then I want this to be shifting a little bit more gradually. So notice as I'm adding my value, I'm doing it in layers. I'm not trying to get it right away. Instead, I'm building it up. Okay. And then the very outside edge underneath the shadow looks like it gets light again too. So I'm not going to stay this dark all the way to the edge. I'm going to pull up on my pencil. Great. Okay. So I'm starting to have something that makes a little bit more sense for a sphere. Good. I can start to pull. It looks like there's some darker values near the top of this edge here, so I can pull some of those over. Okay. Same for down here. And notice how adding value makes the difference between a form that looks flat or a shape that looks flat and a form that looks dimensional. Great. Okay. I'm going to be done with this for now. You guys can keep building up the pressure, building up your value, but I'm going to move on to working on my shadow just a little bit. And then when you guys are done, when you guys are ready, you can move on to your shadow. So pause the video if you need to work on this a little more. You can use my example. And then let's work on the shadow together. Okay. So I'm going to try and make this edge for my shadow be as smooth as I can. So I'm going to carefully make this outline with my pencil right on the edge there. And then I want this shadow to be a nice, smooth value. It doesn't shift much. So this is going to be where the practice came in when we were doing these values last time. So you're going to work on making right next to your sphere as dark as you can. And then maybe, whoops, almost knocked it out. Then maybe once you start to get to the outside edge there, you start to blend lightly. Make it look lighter. Okay. So I'm blending right into my sketch line. If I need to go in with an eraser to soften up that line, I can. Okay. So I'm just building that up. I want this transition to be as smooth as possible, because this transition between dark and that medium value is more subtle than we even see on the sphere itself. That value is very subtle shift. Okay. And then we have some of these kind of peripheral shadows here. That can be just reflecting from another light source in the room. So they're still there, so we're still going to try and add them in, but they're going to be a lot lighter, right? I'm going to do that on both sides. Great. I'm going to fix the shape of my darker value there a little bit. Okay, and then I'm just going to go in with my eraser here and smooth out this extra that I didn't need. Great. Okay. So you guys are going to be working on adding value to a sphere, just like this. And then next time, I want to try and connect some things together. So next time we're going to be working on making some compositions of trees and adding value to trees. But this week we just are starting with the basic shape there, the basic sphere shape. Okay. So I hope you guys learn a lot drawing and adding your value, and post a picture when you're done.